I still remember the exact sound of their laughter. It was lunchtime, junior year of high school, and I was sitting alone at the end of the cafeteria table. The one nobody wanted, the one right next to the trash cans, because that's the only seat that was ever open by the time I got there. I had a peanut butter sandwich. No jelly. We couldn't afford jelly that week. And this girl, Madison, the one with the designer bag her dad bought her for getting a B-, she looked at my sandwich, looked at my shoes, the same shoes I'd worn for 2 years, duct tape holding the sole together. And she said, loud enough for the whole table to hear, "EW, does your family even have money for real food?" Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because what else do you do when you're 15 and you have no comeback? Fast forward 12 years. That same girl, Madison, walked into my office last month for a job interview, for a position at my company. She didn't recognize me at first. I'm going to tell you exactly how I got from that cafeteria table to that office chair. And I promise you, it's not the fairy tale you're expecting. There was no lottery ticket, no rich boyfriend, no overnight miracle. There was just a lot of pain, a lot of nights I wanted to quit, and one decision that changed everything. So stick with me, because if you've ever been made to feel small for something you didn't choose, where you were born, how much your parents made, what you couldn't afford, this story is for you. Okay, let me back up. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Not the cute kind of small town you see in movies with the little bakery and the friendly sheriff. The kind where the biggest employer, the factory, shut down when I was 8, and half the town never really recovered. My mom worked 2 jobs. She cleaned houses in the morning and worked the night shift at a gas station. My dad, he was around, but he struggled with alcohol, and honestly, some months he brought in more problems than paychecks. We moved 4 times before I turned 10. Not because we wanted adventure, because we kept getting behind on rent. I remember one apartment, the heat got shut off in January. My mom put both me and my little brother in her bed, under every blanket we owned, and she slept on the floor next to us with just a coat. She told us it was camping inside. I believed her. I was 7. My brother was 5. It wasn't until years later that I understood what she actually did that night. She gave up the warmth so we could have it. You might be wondering, how does a kid even process that kind of childhood? Honestly, you don't process it. You just live it. It becomes normal. You don't know you're poor until someone tells you. And trust me, they told me. Elementary school was okay. Kids don't really notice that stuff yet. Middle school is where it started. Kids started noticing brands. Noticing who had the newest phone, who got dropped off in a nice car, who went on vacations over summer break while I was babysitting neighborhood kids for $5 an hour just so I could buy my own school supplies. By high school, it wasn't subtle anymore. It was direct. It was cruel. I want to paint the picture clearly, because I think people who didn't grow up like this don't always understand how deep it cuts. It's not just about the material stuff. It's the shame. The constant, quiet shame that follows you everywhere. It's changing in the locker room and hoping nobody notices your bra has a safety pin holding the strap together. It's saying, "I'm not hungry," at a sleepover because you know if you eat, there won't be enough food left for your friend's family, and you don't want to be the reason they run out. It's hearing we're going to Cancun for spring break, and just nodding, smiling, saying, "That sounds fun," while your actual spring break plan is helping your mom clean 3 extra houses to make rent. And then there's the bullying. The actual, targeted bullying. Madison and her friends had a nickname for me. They called me Goodwill. As in the thrift store. Every single day, multiple times a day. "Hey Goodwill. Nice shoes, Goodwill. Did Goodwill have a sale this week?" I used to go home and cry in the bathroom with the shower running so my mom wouldn't hear me, because I didn't want to add to her stress. She already carried so much. I didn't want her to know how bad school was, on top of everything else she was dealing with. That's something people don't talk about enough. When you grow up poor, you don't just carry your own pain. You start protecting the adults around you from your pain too. You grow up fast. Too fast. I want to be clear about something though. This isn't a story where I'm asking for pity. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand where I started, so you understand what the climb actually looked like. Because it wasn't cute. It wasn't inspirational in the moment. It was ugly and slow. And there were so many points where I almost gave up. Things got worse before they got better. A lot worse. When I was 16, my dad left. Just left. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone one Tuesday morning. My mom found out later he'd taken what little savings we had in a joint account. About $800. Which doesn't sound like much, but for us, that was rent for 2 months. I remember my mom sitting at our kitchen table that night, not crying, just staring at a stack of bills, completely silent. That silence scared me more than if she'd been screaming. I made a decision that week that changed the trajectory of my life, but not in a good way at first. I decided I needed to grow up immediately. I got a job at a fast food place, lying about my age to get more hours. I started giving almost all of my paycheck to my mom. School started slipping. Not because I wasn't smart. Teachers always told me I was smart, but because I was working closing shifts until 11 p.m. on school nights and then trying to do homework at midnight, exhausted and failing. My guidance counselor pulled me aside once. She said, "Your grades are dropping. Is everything okay at home?" Elite. I said everything was fine, because I was terrified that if I told the truth, they'd call child services, and things would get even more unstable than they already were. So I just suffered quietly, which looking back I don't recommend. If you're a kid going through something like this, please tell somebody you trust. I stayed silent for too long, and it cost me. Senior year, the bullying hit its peak. Madison and her group found out, I still don't know how, that my family was on food stamps, and they made sure everyone knew it. There was this one day, I'll never forget it. It was during lunch, and I just paid for my food using my school lunch card, which everyone knew meant free or reduced lunch. Madison said loud in front of probably 30 people, "Must be nice that the government pays for your food since your family can't." And everyone laughed. Again. I didn't cry that time. Something in me just went numb. I remember walking to the bathroom, looking in the mirror and thinking, I am going to get out of this town. I don't know how, but I am. I didn't know it yet, but that moment, that specific humiliating moment, planted a seed. Not immediately. It took years to grow. But it was the first time I said to myself, with real conviction, that my life was not going to look like this forever. Here's the thing though. Believing that and actually making it happen are two very different things. I graduated high school with okay grades, not great, because of everything going on at home. College felt impossible. We had zero savings. My mom couldn't co-sign loans because her credit was wrecked from years of missed payments trying to keep the lights on. I applied for every scholarship I could find. I got a couple small ones. Enough to cover about a third of a semester at the local community college. I took out loans for the rest, which looking back, absolutely terrified me, because I'd grown up watching debt destroy my family. But I didn't see another option. I worked full-time while going to school part-time. I was studying business, mostly because it seemed practical, not because I had some grand vision of, I'm going to build an empire. I just wanted a job that paid enough that I'd never have to experience a winter with no heat again. There were nights I fell asleep at my textbook, drooling on my own homework, waking up at 3 a.m. and having to be at work by 6. There were months I ate ramen noodles for almost every meal, not as some quirky broke college kid joke, but because it was genuinely all I could afford. I want to be honest with you. There was a period, around age 20, 21, where I fell into a real depression. I was working so hard, and it felt like I was getting nowhere. I was still broke, still exhausted, still in some ways that same kid getting called Goodwill in the cafeteria. I remember thinking, what if this is just my life? What if I work this hard forever and never actually get anywhere? That thought terrified me more than being poor itself. The idea that all this effort might not even matter. I'm sharing this part because I think a lot of success story videos skip over this. They skip the part where you're in the trenches and you genuinely don't know if it's going to work out. I didn't have some inner knowing that I was destined for something big. I just had exhaustion and stubbornness and a refusal to go back to how things were. The turning point for me didn't look dramatic. It wasn't a movie moment. It was actually kind of small, and I almost missed it. I was 22, working as an assistant manager at a small local marketing firm. I'd transferred my community college credits into finishing a business degree online, slowly, over years. The company was tiny, maybe 12 employees. The owner, a woman named Carol, was actually the first person in my adult life who took a real interest in my growth instead of just seeing me as cheap labor. One day I was complaining, gently, about how our client onboarding process was disorganized. Just venting honestly. And instead of brushing it off, Carol said, "So fix it. Build me a better system." Nobody had ever handed me that kind of trust before. I stayed up 2 nights straight, again exhausted, again running on fumes, but I built an entire onboarding workflow. It cut our client ramp-up time almost in half. Carol noticed. She started giving me more responsibility, and for the first time in my life, I felt like my work, my actual brain, my actual ideas had value. Not just my labor, my thinking. That was the shift. It wasn't about money yet. It was about realizing I wasn't just someone who survives. I could build things. I could solve problems. That was a completely new identity for me, and it took time to actually believe it. Around this time, I started noticing something else too. A gap. Small local businesses around town, hair salons, contractors, little family restaurants. None of them had any real online presence. No functioning websites. No social media strategy. Nothing. And I understood their world, because I grew up in it. I understood what it was like to have no money for extras like marketing, because every dollar had to go somewhere essential. So I started doing small side projects, building simple websites for local businesses on nights and weekends, charging way less than any agency would, because I remembered what it was like to not have money to spend, and I wanted to actually help people like the ones I grew up around. I did this for almost 2 years, alongside my regular job. Slowly, client by client. I wasn't thinking, I'm building a company. I was thinking, I need extra money, and I'm good at this. You might be wondering, where does the real turning point come in? Here it is. I was 24. My mom got sick. Nothing life-threatening, thankfully, but she needed surgery and needed time off work to recover. And I realized in that moment that if something happened to her, or to me, we had zero safety net. None. My assistant manager job paid okay, but it wasn't building any kind of real future for either of us. I remember sitting in the hospital waiting room, and I made a decision. I decided I was going to take my side business seriously, not as a side hustle, as my actual future. I quit my job 3 months later. Everyone thought I was insane. My mom was terrified, understandably, given everything we'd been through with instability. But I had saved up 6 months of expenses, I had 4 small recurring clients already, and I had something I'd never had before. A clear picture of what I actually wanted to build. I wanted to build a marketing and web development agency specifically built for small businesses that could never afford the big agencies. Because I understood that market. I'd lived in that world. I knew what it felt like to be the person nobody thought was worth investing in. The first year on my own was brutal, honestly. Maybe even harder than working for someone else. I was doing everything myself, sales, design, coding, client calls, invoicing, at 2 a.m. some nights. I lived off savings for the first 4 months before it stabilized. There were weeks I genuinely didn't know if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. But slowly, client by client, referral by referral, it started to grow. By year 2, I had to hire my first employee. That was a strange, emotional moment for me. Signing my first paycheck to someone else. Someone who was trusting me with their livelihood, the way Carol had once trusted me with mine. By year 3, we had 6 employees, working out of a tiny rented office above an old hardware store. By year 5, we had grown to almost 30 employees, and we'd moved into a real office space downtown, the kind with our actual company name on the door. I'm not going to pretend it was smooth after that turning point. It wasn't. There were clients who didn't pay. There were employees I had to let go, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because I remembered what it felt like to lose income unexpectedly, and I never wanted to be the reason someone's family went through what mine did. There was a point during a rough economic stretch where I genuinely considered shutting the whole thing down. I didn't take a real paycheck for almost 8 months so I could keep paying my team. But I kept going. Because every single time I wanted to quit, I thought about that girl in the cafeteria, eating her plain peanut butter sandwich, being laughed at for something she never chose. And I thought, she doesn't get to be right about me. Not now, not ever. That anger, that old shame, I turned it into fuel. Not in a bitter way, I want to be clear. I didn't build this company out of revenge. I built it because I genuinely wanted to help small businesses like the ones I grew up around. But I won't lie to you and pretend that some small, stubborn part of me wasn't also saying, watch me. Now let's talk about Madison. Because I know you're waiting for this part. About 4 months ago, my HR manager forwarded me a resume for an open marketing coordinator position. I glanced at the name, Madison Carter. My stomach dropped a little. It had been almost 12 years. I told myself it was probably a different person. It's not that uncommon a name. I sat in on the final round interview, mostly out of curiosity, honestly. And there she was. Older, obviously. A little more tired around the eyes. But it was her. She didn't recognize me. Not even a little bit. Which honestly made sense. I'd changed a lot. I dressed differently now. I'd found a hairstyle that actually suited me instead of whatever I could manage with the one drugstore product I could afford back then. I carried myself differently too. Confidence does that to a person's whole presence. During the interview, she mentioned, almost as small talk, that she'd had a rough few years. Her husband's business had failed. They'd lost their house. She was doing okay now, but it had been a hard stretch, and she really needed this job. And I sat there listening to her talk about financial struggle. The exact thing she used to mock me for, and I felt something complicated. Not joy. I want to be really clear about that, because I know some people expect this to be a villain gets what's coming kind of story. It wasn't like that. I didn't feel satisfaction watching her struggle. What I actually felt was something closer to recognition. Like, oh, now you know. I didn't say anything about who I was during that interview. I let her go through the whole process normally. She got the job. She was qualified for it, genuinely, and I wasn't going to let old history interfere with a fair hiring decision. That wouldn't have been right, and honestly, it wasn't who I wanted to be. On her first day, during her office tour, I stopped by her desk to introduce myself properly, like I do with all new hires. I said, "Hi Madison. Welcome to the team. I'm not sure if you remember me. We went to high school together. Lincoln High, Ohio." I watched her face change in real time. Confusion, then squinting, then this slow dawning look of recognition. Then I could see it. Pure horror. She said my name out loud, almost like a question. Like she couldn't believe it. She actually said, "Oh my God. You own this?" I just smiled and said, "Yep. Let me know if you need anything to get settled in. We're really glad to have you." And I walked away. I didn't bring up the cafeteria. I didn't bring up Goodwill. I didn't need to. I think in that one look on her face, 12 years of stuff got said without a single word. I'll be honest with you. I've thought a lot about whether I did the right thing, hiring her, being kind about it instead of using that moment to make her feel small the way she once made me feel small. And I keep coming back to the same conclusion. If I had been cruel to her in that moment, it would have meant she still had power over how I acted. It would have meant the 15-year-old version of me, the one crying in the shower so her mom wouldn't hear, was still the one steering the ship. But she's not. Not anymore. Being genuinely kind to Madison, in that moment, when I had every opportunity to humiliate her the way she humiliated me. That was the real proof to myself that I'd actually healed. Not just gotten successful. Healed. Those are two very different things, by the way. I want to say that clearly, because I know a lot of people watching this might be somewhere in the still struggling phase, and I need you to hear this. Success does not automatically heal the wound. I know plenty of people who made it financially and are still just as bitter, just as wounded, as they were at their lowest point. Money didn't heal me. What healed me was understanding, slowly over years, that what happened to me in that cafeteria was never actually about me. It was never about my shoes, or my sandwich, or my family's income. It was about Madison, and whatever was going on in her own life that made her need to put someone else down to feel bigger. That took me a long, long time to understand. I wish someone had told me that at 15. Maybe it wouldn't have changed how much it hurt, but it might have changed how long I carried it. So where does that leave me now? I run a company with over 60 employees. We work with small businesses across 4 states, doing the exact kind of work that helps people who remind me of my mom, of the family I grew up in, who never had the money for extras but desperately needed them to survive. My mom doesn't clean houses anymore. That was one of the first things I fixed the moment I had stability. I paid off her debts. I got her somewhere safe and warm, somewhere she'll never have to sleep on a cold floor again to keep her kids warm. My little brother, the one who was 5 years old under that pile of blankets with me, he works with me now too. He runs our client operations team. We talk about that winter sometimes. Not in a sad way anymore. More like, we made it through that together, and now we get to build something together too. I think about the version of myself sitting alone at that cafeteria table more than you'd expect. Not with anger anymore. With something more like gratitude, honestly, which took me years to arrive at. That kid, the one everyone laughed at, she didn't know it yet, but she was building an incredibly thick skin. She was learning to work harder than anyone around her, because she had to. She was learning that shame doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can actually just be the beginning, if you let it. Here's what I want you to take away from this. If you're going through something similar right now, if people are making you feel small because of what your family has or doesn't have, I need you to understand, deep in your chest, that this says absolutely nothing about your worth. It says everything about the person doing the bullying. Cruelty like that almost always comes from someone's own insecurity, their own fear, their own unresolved pain. It is never, ever actually about you. Second, hard work matters, but so does direction. I worked incredibly hard as a teenager just to survive, and that hard work alone didn't change my circumstances. What changed things was combining that same work ethic with an actual skill, an actual plan, and eventually, the courage to bet on myself even when everyone thought it was reckless. Third, and I think this might be the most important one, healing and success are not the same thing. You can chase money, chase achievement, chase proving people wrong, and still wake up one day feeling exactly as small as you did back then. Real healing comes from understanding your story doesn't define your worth, it's just something that happened to you. You get to decide what it means. I know a lot of you watching this are in your own version of that cafeteria right now. Maybe it's not about a peanut butter sandwich. Maybe it's about your car, your zip code, your clothes, your parents' jobs, the way people look at you when they find out where you come from. I want you to know something, and I need you to actually let this land, not just hear it and scroll past. Where you started does not decide where you end up. I promise you that. I am living, breathing proof of that. I had every reason to believe my life was already decided for me by the time I was 15 years old. The town I lived in, the money my family didn't have, the way people treated me, none of that was a life sentence. It felt like one at the time. It wasn't. If you're in a hard season right now, genuinely struggling, wondering if things will ever change, I am telling you, from someone who has been exactly there, it can change. It probably won't happen overnight. It didn't for me. It took years and tears, and a lot of ramen noodles, and nights where I wanted to give up completely. But it changed. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If this story meant something to you, if any part of it reminded you of your own life, I want you to drop a comment below, and tell me where you're starting from right now. Not where you want to end up, where you're actually starting. I read every single one, and honestly, some days those comments are what remind me why I share this story at all. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, because I'm going to keep sharing real stories like this one. The messy, unfiltered kind, not the polished highlight reel version of success. To whoever is sitting in their own version of that lunchroom right now, eating alone, feeling small, feeling like everyone else has it figured out except you. I see you. I was you. And I promise, this is not the end of your story. It's just the part before the turning point. I'll see you in the next one.